A heads up when we're ready.
Okay. I think we are good to go ahead. Yes.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. This is just a live demonstration of the Cityspan system, specifically for youth intervention pathways. Cityspan is a data collection tool, a database where we house all the data about a few different youth service programs. So today we're just going to walk through what the database, what the system looks like specifically for youth intervention pathways. This is, it's called Cityspan. This is Cityspan's main landing page for us. The URL up at the top, you can see it, dfssyouth.cityspan.com. If you are the folks who are going to be in Cityspan, entering all the information about your program, I highly suggest that you bookmark this. A couple of other notes. Every once in a while, we might put some notices here in this notices section. Two things that are already here are for other program models, so not youth intervention pathways, but you'll see that we've created Cityspan support guides for some of the other program models that we have in the division. And we're working on creating a Cityspan support guide that's basically just going to walk through everything that we're going to talk about today, but it'll be a Google Doc that you can come back to and reference if you ever need to, if you've got questions or just kind of as a point of reference. So once that support guide gets built out, we'll update this notice here to include it, and you'll see it in this list. A couple of other things to note on the main landing page is that you've got Cityspan themselves offers technical support. So if you run into an error or if you're trying to enter an address and it's saying, oh, this is an invalid address, but you know that it's not. Very technical kind of questions or errors that you run into or bugs that you see in the system. You can always reach out to Cityspan directly. Their email address and a toll-free phone number are listed right here on the main landing page with hours of operation. So that's there for you all to use. And then, if you were to forget your username and password, they've also got this link here that you can click and all right. I'm gonna ask that everybody mute themselves so that we don't get feedback or echo. Sounds like maybe somebody's still not muted. Alex, if you can just go through and mute everybody, that would be great.
Yep, I'm doing that right now.
Thank you. Like I said, so if you forget your username or password, there's a link here. You can click this and Cityspan will help you recover that. But I've got my username and password ready to go. I'm just going to go ahead and click login. Now, what I see when I click login is very different than what you'll see when you log in. I'm at DFSS and I have system admin user access. So I actually see all of the agencies that we work with and all of the different program models within each agency. So I'm just going to navigate to our sample agency. That's the one we're going to work in today. So we're not in anybody's actual information. We're working out of this sample agency. If I were to log in as an agency, the main landing page that I would see, it would look something like this, where it's my agency name up at the top and all the contracts that my agency has with DFSS Youth Services, most of them anyways. And if I am only assigned to one or a couple different programs within my agency, I might see an even further edited list based on what the agency admins have assigned me to be able to see. All of you should be able to at least see youth intervention pathways when you log in. So I'm going to click on this. This is where we're going to spend our time today. The left menu has changed. Hopefully all of your agencies have submitted and had your work plans approved. So we're not going to talk about work plans today. We're here just to look at, how to use this database from a programming perspective. So the programming tabs on this left menu that you're going to use are these four here: clients, referrals, cases, and service coordinators. We'll start with service coordinators so you can see what that looks like. Basically, this is a place for you to input who is going to be doing the service coordination, the case management with young folks. So if I needed to add in a new person, say just hired somebody for the role, they need to be added in here. I'm going to click on service coordinators and I'm going to click add plus. Type in their first name, type in their last name, give them a phone number, email address, and there's also a companion database called the compliance database where all HR related documentation to adults directly working with youth will have to be uploaded. And so here in this youth database, this is just saying the staff person has completed the HR requirements and that these documents have been uploaded into the DFSS compliance database. That's something that if you have questions about the compliance database, we're not necessarily going to get into that now, but I highly suggest that you reach out to Alex. Alex has a good amount of knowledge about what that database looks like and what you all need to be doing in that database. But this is just, today we're talking more about the programmatic aspects of using this youth database. So,
And BJ, I'll just add a quick note. All of your agencies, I've already talked to your HR people. So if you have questions about whether someone is cleared or not in the compliance database, you can speak to your HR representative, and they should hopefully know what you're talking about.
thanks, Alex. So we're going to assume that test person has done all of these things. So we're going to click yes and identify them as a paid program staff. And we want them to remain active. So I've filled out all the fields. I'm going to click add. And now we have added a new service coordinator to our roster of service coordinators. And this is important because what you're going to see is once you add in a new referral, you're going to have to assign a service coordinator to that young person, not surprisingly. The only names that you are going to have as options to assign as service coordinators in the database are people who you have added here. So just keep that in mind. That's this service coordinators area. It's very straightforward. You're just adding in the folks who are going to be working with young folks. So now I'm going to navigate over to the clients tab. Let's say you've received a new referral from CPD. This clients tab is where you're going to add in that person's information and just start the referral process in this database. So let's say I've gotten a new referral. I'm going to click add. And it's going to ask me just for some very basic information. First name, last name, date of birth, and phone number are all required. If you have an email address or a direct youth phone number, you can add those in here. We've been told by CPD that at least these 4 things minimum will appear on all referral records that come in to your agencies. So these are required here. I'm going to say, just going to walk through this step.
So as BJ is entering this information, this add client is essentially what you're going to be doing once you receive the referral from CPD. So this is sort of the first step in the process that you'll be following. CPD will send you via email their referral information, and then you will enter this in this first add client piece.
Yep. And you're doing this again, the left menu bar, you're at this clients link or section of the database. So I've entered in the basic information that it's asking of me. I'm going to click add client case. And really this should say add client referral. Right now, it's not necessarily a case. You still would need to get things like parental consent and a few additional pieces of information before you could actually convert this into a case. But right now, what we're doing is just adding in the client referral. Once we've added in that basic information and say add client referral, now we've got some more information that we can fill out about the young person. It asks for things like race, gender, ethnicity, languages spoken at home. We have some specific target populations that we want to be monitoring to see across the youth services division. Are we engaging young folks, vulnerable young folks in these kind of constituencies or populations? And so if any of these situations or experiences directly connect with the person that you're working with, then we would want you to identify which ones those are here. If none of them apply, this is a required question. So if none of these apply, you can always click none of these apply. That's totally fine. I'm just going to go ahead and do this real quick. CHA, this is you're not going to input anything here in the back end. We're going to use the client's address to note whether or not this person is a resident within CHA housing or not. And that's just for our own records. You don't have to worry about that. Education, it asks some questions about what their current education and status in school is. So if you say that they're in high school or below, then you've got a list of all of the different high schools in Chicago and even in some of the surrounding counties. Adding in their address. I'm just going to walk through. I know this is a little time consuming to see me fill out every single field, but I just want you to have the full picture of what it looks like to add in a young person, add in a new referral. It's
I have
gonna,
a quick question.
yeah, please feel free.
So this is happening after we get a referral from CPD. Is CPD going to be collecting the school information? Because I see that it's got an asterisk and we have to enter it before we're able to save the profile. So is that something CPD is going to be giving to us, the school information?
That's not, I don't think that is something that CPD will be collecting. I think that's just in the process of having your conversations with the parents or with the young person themselves, just finding out, where they're at in school and which school they go to if they are enrolled and participating in school.
Okay, so we'll be adding these, we're expected to add them after we've reached out to the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah. Last piece here, we're adding in just some emergency or parent guardian contact information. At least one contact information needs to be added as and identified either as parent or guardian. All right, so all of our fields are filled out. I'm going to scroll back up to the top. I'm going to click save. And, oh, I did not enter a 10-digit phone number. Did I miss a number? You can also click save here on this left tab. It stays where it is. It's the same thing as clicking save up here. So now all of this information is in here. I can also go over, I can look at the referral that I just added in here in this cases and referrals tab for the young person. Or I can also go to this referrals tab on the left and I'll see client A listed. And so this is the person that we just added in. And so we're going to capture some more information about the referral. So you can come to this referrals area on the left menu, click on the person or the referral that you just added in. And you're going to see 3 tabs up at the top from this referrals area. You're going to see their personal information, which we just filled out. you're going to see, oh, you're going to see this referral record, and you're going to have this assessments tab as well. The referral record is something that also needs to be filled out in order to convert this referral into a case. And in this referral record, you've got questions like what, I'll just go ahead and fill it out and talk through it as I do that. I'm going to click edit. This little button icon up here is edit. So it's going to ask me to assign a service coordinator, so you can see the person that I just added in. Referral receive date, name of the person making the referral, referral method was perhaps by email. If I have that person's email, we would want you to add it in here.
BJ, I'll just add, so just to be clear, the name of the person making the referral is not you. It is the CPD person who sent the email or who had the interaction with the youth. The referral form that CPD will send you will have the detective, if it's the detective, it'll have their contact, at least their name. And we're trying to make sure that their contact information is also on there in case you need to reach back out to them. So the name of the person making the referral is the CPD person.
Thanks, Alex. You're also going to select what the interaction type was that led to the referral. Your options here are diversion station adjusted, meaning the youth was actually arrested and they had a station adjustment. Deflection in the field interaction with police, and deflection referred in lieu of arrest. So hopefully this information, maybe Alex, you can confirm that this information will be sent along with the referral record from CPD.
So that it most likely will not be, well, we're still trying to figure out exactly what CPD is going to be sending. But at least for right now, once you start receiving referrals, it will be station adjusted youth only. So as we're beginning the program, you're just going to be putting station adjusted youth, and then hopefully in the coming months, as we begin to sort of launch the program, we get more comfortable, then we'll be accepting youth that have been deflected. So that in-field interaction with youth is just if an officer has an interaction with a youth and they want them to be referred to services, that would be that one. And then the referred in lieu of arrest is if a youth is doing something that might warrant an arrest, but the officer feels that they could benefit from deflection instead, that would be this case. But since those are still, the deflection piece is still a little unclear, we're focusing just on the youth who are diverted first.
Thanks for that, Alex. And perhaps I can use your expertise here as well to help us understand the difference between what I might put in here for this field that I'm filling in, name of CPD officer / detective, and name of person making the referral. Is there a difference between these two?
So most likely there will not be, but we made that distinction because the person making the referral may be different than the officer that had an interaction with the youth that prompted the diversion or deflection. So the person making the referral is the person who is sending you the email, and then the name of the CPD officer is the person who had the interaction with the youth.
Okay, thanks. That is helpful. The
And
date that the
if I may ask, sorry,
You're fine.
so would the referral include the name of the officer that had that interaction with the youth?
Yeah. So, see, like I mentioned, CPD is still trying to nail down exactly what they're going to send us, but we have requested that they include the officer's name and the officer's contact information. So it's a hopeful yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alex. We're going to enter in the date the interaction took place and the police district where it happened as well. And that should be on the referral form that you're getting from CPD. And whether or not you've gotten parent consent. So in order to move this into a case and actually work with the young person, obviously we have to have parent consent and it needs to be on file. So we filled out all this kind of referral information. I'm gonna click save and return.
BJ, we have a question.
Yeah.
Vernon, I see your hand is raised. You can come off mute and share your question if you would like. Yep, go for it. You're unmuted.
Thank you, Alex. I want to ask, is this the only way we could see the referrals is going in Cityspan? Because when I first started, I started training on Credible. So I wanted to make sure, do I have to like input info in two different systems, or would I just have to have one primary system to input the information? I know since we training on, it's obvious that this is probably like the number one training. I mean, data input station.
Yep.
Because I was learning on Credible, so I'm trying to find out where does that come in at, or is
Okay.
just my agency's input information input station? I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, of course. So DFSS is requiring our delegate agencies to use Cityspan for tracking our referral and case information about our youth. If your agency may have other specific requirements that they may want you to use. So I would say check in with your supervisor. They may tell you, yes, we use this system, or no, you don't have to, but you will be required to use Cityspan.
And the only way we can find the referrals is to log on Cityspan. Right? That's it.
Yes. So referrals will be emailed to you from the CPD officer that had an interaction with the youth, or their person helping out with the sending the referrals. But all referrals will come from CPD to the email address that your agency has set up. And then
Okay.
from there, it will be the responsibility of the program manager to check that email address daily to see if there have been any referrals. And then you will take that referral information and you will do exactly what BJ is doing by creating this person in Cityspan and then adding their case information.
Thank you.
Thanks for that clarity. And thanks for your question.
BJ, I also wanted to just make a note about can you scroll down, please? Oh, it was on the last page. I'm so sorry. I forgot what I was gonna say.
No worries.
I'll come back to it. Sorry,
Okay.
guys.
All right, so we've done a couple of things. We were over in this personal information. We added in that demographic and all the demographic information about the young person. Next, we clicked on referrals and we clicked on referral record, and we added in information about the referral itself. The other thing that you're going to be doing around this time that you're collecting all of this information, you're getting it ready to enter in here, is we want you to log your contact attempts with the young people, with the participants. So if, you know, somebody had asked the question about like, oh, are we going to get the information about what school this young person goes to from CPD? I said, no, that's going to be some sort of conversation between the parents or between the young folks and you all. Every time you're reaching out to the participant or to the family, we want you to capture those contact attempts. And so it's here in this referral record where you're going to be capturing those. And so it's at the bottom below all of the stuff that we just filled out. This contact attempt section. And all you have to do is enter the date that the contact attempt was made and click add. And there's just a few questions that it's going to ask about the contact attempt. Things like, who were you attempting to contact? Was it the youth themselves? Was it their family? How did you try to reach out to them? Was it email, in person, phone, text message? If I were to click phone, it's going to say, oh, did they pick up? Did they respond? Yes or no? Was there anything in particular that you were trying to reach out to them about? If so, click whatever you're trying to reach out to them about. And then an optional place to add in some contact notes or next steps. That's for you. We're not requiring it. If it feels helpful to use these contact notes and next steps, please feel free to do so. But really what we want to understand is how often are you all trying to reach out to the families or the participants? Who are you reaching out to? And what was the outcome of that? Was it successful? Did you get in contact with them? Did they respond? Or if not. So again, once I filled this out, I'm going to go ahead and click save and return up at the top. You always want to save your work. And now I'm going to see this recent contact attempt here. So as I add these in, it's going to list out every opportunity that I've taken to contact somebody related to this referral. All right, I'm going to pause real quick. The next thing that we're going to look at is the YAZI assessments and how to add those scores into Cityspan. Any questions about contact attempts or referrals so far?
I'll share that just so you all have an idea of sort of what the big picture of the process is. So like we mentioned, you'll get the referral from CPD via email. You'll create the client and then open this referral and add all of their information. And then once all of that information is entered, I was gonna say about parental consent. So each of your agencies, you will need to create your own parental consent form. And then, so we don't need you guys to send us that, or you don't need to upload it anywhere, but you should have it on file at your agency for in case you get audited. So then once you get parental consent to continue, then is when the referral will be closed and you'll open a case. But BJ will share more of that. But just so you guys understand like where we're going.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Alex. One last thing to do before you close this referral and hopefully it converts into a full-blown case, meaning that the young person actually stays with the program and is successful in moving from referral to case. We want you to add in the YAZI scores. So I know from what I've heard about the program model is you all will get the referral record in, you'll make some attempts to contact the young person, and you'll collect some of this information about the referral, but then one of the first things that you all are doing is conducting the YAZI assessment with the potential participants. And so in this referral area, we're still in this referral area on the left tab. There's a place to add in the YAZI assessment scores. So I'm going to navigate over to that tab up here at the top. And I'm going to go ahead and click add in YAZI. I can add in a YAZI pre-screen scores, or I can add in a full assessment. So from what I've heard is the pre-screens is basically a subset of all the questions that are involved in the full YAZI. But you do kind of initial pre-screen to see if the full assessment is even necessary or not. And if they score low on the pre-screen, you're not doing a full assessment. But if they score moderate or high on the pre-screen, then you're taking the time to do the full assessment. So once you've done the pre-screen, you can go ahead and add that in here. Just click add under this pre-screen. And at times, it sounds like, especially at the beginning with this diversion and station adjustment, CPD might be the person who completed the pre-screen. At other times, it could be your agency that completes the pre-screen. So we're going to pick which one that is here and the date that the pre-screen was done. And then I don't know how familiar you all are with what kind of outputs come on the pre-screen assessment, but it does give you an overall pre-screen risk score. and a pre-screen strength score. So you're going to add those in here, whatever they are. And it also tells you what areas are contributing to risk and need. And so the options here are aligned with the domains of the full YASI assessment. So you would select whatever domains or whatever areas are contributing in the pre-screen assessment. When you do that in with the YASI and the casework software, will tell you this. So you're just adding that in. Yeah.
BJ,
ahead.
can I share? So, we have a question in the chat. Will CPD be sending over the YASI scores along with the initial referral? So, when we launch the program, CPD will, if you guys are not muted, will you please mute yourself?
Oh, it's actually me, probably.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
fine. You're fine.
So if sorry. So in the beginning, well, so the goal is that CPD will do the YASI pre-screen with youth, and then they will send the referral information. Well, they'll send the scores along with the referral information. However, when we launch the program, CPD will most likely not have begun their contract with the YASI software. So in the beginning, no, CPD will not be sending YASI scores. So you guys should plan to do first with youth the pre-screen, and then if you determine that it's necessary to do the full screening, then you would proceed to the full screen. But if, as BJ mentioned, if the pre-screen score is low, you would just keep that information and then not do the full assessment, and then create the case plan from there. BJ, does that make sense? Did I explain that well?
I think so. I mean, I think it's a fairly it's not super complex, but I think, there's a lot of nuance in there, and I think it sounds like you all have we have not gone through the YASI training yet, and so I think there will be a lot more clarity once folks have more familiarity with the YASI and go through that training. But yeah, there's the YASI. Once you do the pre-screen, you have this overall risk score, and that score translates to high, medium, high, moderate, or low. And the YASI, software itself will tell you whether or not the young person is high, moderate, or low. It's not like it's something that you all have to guess on. Especially because I really want to ensure education gets their chance at keep going. We added in these pre-screen assessment information. I clicked add and I see all my information here. Now I can go ahead and back out. If this is the way to go, we'll certainly ensure that it's being and it shows that I've added in the pre-screen. If I needed to add in the full assessment, meaning the pre-screen score was either moderate or high, I would click on add full assessment. And I would say what date this was completed on. And I would go ahead and add in all of the domain scores and flags and all of the details of the YASI results that came from that full assessment. I would say so for the speakers. That's what's going in here. And yeah, especially I would assume so. I would fill this all out and then I would click add here. And now all of my full assessment information is entered into Cityspan. Since it's not required, I'm going to go ahead and click cancel. But if I needed to add it in, that's what I would do. Those two options. You can even throw out those two dates as possibilities. All right. So the scenario we're working through is basically if the young person gets referred and they voluntarily choose to participate and you have parental consent and you've gotten all the personal information in here, you've gotten the assessment taken care of and entered in here, and you've added in all the information about the referral. The next step would be to close the referral, and that basically then would get converted into the case. And the next step, once it's converted into a case, is creating the service plan for the young person, creating goals, making service connections, doing that restorative justice, the restorative justice component. But in this referral area, we're adding in the personal information, we're adding in the referral records, we're adding in the assessment scores, and we're tracking all of the contact attempts in between all of these steps. Once you're ready to close the case, you would go ahead in this referral record. So again, referrals here, click on the young person you're working with. You're in this referral record tab up top. You're ready to close it, so you can click close referral. And it's going to kind of just give a recapitulation of the referral record, and then it's going to say reason for closure, unsuccessful or convert to case. Hopefully as many referrals as you get will be converted into case. But let's say somewhere along the line, you're not able to get parental consent, or you have attempted to contact the young person and their family over and over and over and over again, and you're getting no response. We realize that there will be occasions potentially where you receive a referral and you're not able to convert that referral into a case, or actually end up working with the young person. So, and if that's the case, you would just go into that referral record, hit close referral, and mark that the reason for closure of the referral was unsuccessful. And then it'll ask you why. Youth moved out of area, chose to end participation, unresponsive, whatever that reason is, just let us know why this was an unsuccessful referral, and then you click on successful referral, and the system saves it with all your information. Hopefully, as many as you get, as many as we can, will actually be converted into case, meaning youth will sustain themselves, retain themselves in the program. If that's the case, the reason for closing the referral is that you're converting it into a case. You click that and go ahead and click convert into case. So now that we have converted this into the case, the tabs up at the top have changed a little bit. You still see their personal information, but now instead of referral record, we've got this case record, and it lets us know that this is an open case and the date and time that I opened the case. Alex, can I ask you to make a quick note that this time is showing up in Pacific time, not Central?
Oh, okay.
So we'll want to
Yep.
make a note and tell that to Cityspan.
Okay, yes. And
you.
Louis, I see your question. I am looking up the answer right now. So give me a second.
Okay, so again, we hit convert to case. Now the tabs at the top look a little different. Instead of referral record, we have case record. It tells us, it gives us the case ID, tells us that the case is open, tells us when we open the case. We still see the referral information here, and we still have all of our contact attempts. We still see that. So just as you were doing in the referral period, once you've opened the case and you're working with the young person on their service plan, and they're making connections to other services and working on goals, we still want you to be logging all of your contact attempts when you're reaching out, whether or not they're responding. And so, this contact attempts tracker is down here. And I guess it's expected that you'll continue to use that throughout the referral period and throughout the case period. Then you still have your assessments. So, if you did a reassessment, or if you needed to edit anything about your the scores that you added in during the referral, you can come in here and click on those and do that. And then the new tab that we see here is service plan, and this is where the bulk of your kind of data entry around the case and case planning will go. In the service plan, you've got two main sections. The first one is basic information about the case, and then the bottom one is basically places where you can enter in goals, service connections, and restorative justice activities.
I also like that.
So
Kind of a new
first things first, I'm going to go ahead and enter in the basic information. So I'll click edit, and I can choose between whether we anticipate that this case will be a 30-day case, 60 days, or 90 days.
So like that's
30 days is when your Yazi pre-screen is low. 60 days is when the Yazi pre-screen is moderate, and 90 days is when the Yazi pre-screen is high. And
I think it's
you've got a place to add in your priority domain. So it sounds like one of the things you all are going to be doing as you complete the Yazi and work with the young person on their case is you're going to identify, based on the Yazi scores and a conversation with you and the young person, what are the priority domains that you all want to work on for the case. And so we've listed out all of the domains of the Yazi, all the major domains of the Yazi assessment here. And the idea is that you're prioritizing the domains where there is the most need, or based on conversations between you and the young person, what they feel like is the most pressing areas in their life that you all might be able to make some progress on. So go ahead and add in at least one priority domain is required, but if you're working on others, you would add them in here as well. And click save and return. So now we know that, what is the anticipated length of case and what are the major areas that you all are going to be working on for this case. Once that's been added in, you can start to say, okay, identify some goals, track your service connections, and track your restorative justice activities down here. So you see those three options. If you're going to create a goal, go ahead and click on goal. Add the date that you're kind of starting to work on this goal. And it's going to ask some basic information about the goal. What Yazi domain does this goal line up with? A chance to write in a brief description about the goal. What date will the youth or you and the youth begin working on this? Is there an anticipated end date or completion date for the goal? Maybe there's not, but maybe there is. And then what is the status of the goal? If it's pending, is it in progress? Is it achieved? Was the youth not able to achieve the goal? So we want to know kind of where the goal is at in the process. And then when you go to close out the case, all of these goal statuses should be really either achieved or in progress or did not achieve. So when you go to close out the case, just make sure to come into each of your goals and make sure that the status of that goal is up to date.
BJ, there's a question in the chat. Is there only the option to add 3 domains?
There is, yeah. And perhaps you're going to work on more domains with the young person, and that's great. We just kind of assumed, given that this is a very temporary, most of the cases are going to be, if not all of the cases are going to be done within 90 days, that honing in on just a few key priority domains is probably the strategy that a lot of people use. So the system only allows you to enter in 3. And I would say if you're going to work on more domains than just those 3, then the ones that should go in Cityspan are the ones that feel the most important, or the ones that you're going to do the most work on.
Also, I may be a little bit behind.
All right, so I've added in the goal. I say that this is pending. I'm going to go ahead and click save and return. If there is any movement on the goal,
all of these honestly, like
I would come back in here. Let's say like it's pending,
so
but
it sounds like
now, a week later, we're actually in progress. Like something has moved and we went from not yet started to, okay, we've started working on this goal. I could come down here to this goal, click anywhere on any of the text, come back into it and say, okay, now it's in progress, save and return. And then you know, let's say some end result happens, either the goal was achieved or we found out that it's not achieved and it's not going to be, we could click back in and update the status again. So
I can sort of frame it.
once you add in the goal,
Yeah, we've done that.
the idea is to
Yeah,
come
we've
back and
done that.
keep
So I
updating
feel
the
like-
status. We want to know where you're
I feel
at
like
and
we're
actually
gonna, like, right
working
now,
through the
so,
goals.
like, standpoint of where-
So that's adding in a goal. Now we'll do adding in a service
Uh,
connection.
And also that, like, they're.
Hopefully you all are kind of familiar with what the service connections are.
You know, having.
But, you know, it sounds like from what I've heard about the program is that you all will be connecting participants with external services, things like legal supports or, you know, re-engaging them in school or helping them to find employment opportunities, those kinds of external connections that you're going to make for additional services. So when you're working on those external connections, those service connections, that's when you would pick this service this type of service connection to add in. So select service connection, I put in the date. And very similar to the goal, like if I were to add in a goal, it's going to ask me what Yazi domain does this align with? It's going to ask me, is this an internal connection? Am I like, is this a service that is, I'm referring them to a program within my own organization? Or is this a connection to a service that's being provided by somebody that's not my organization? And if it's not my organization, it's just going to ask you to type in the name of the organization. If there's a particular program name that you're referring them to, you can add that in here. What date was the connection initiated?
I think like Robbie.
Is a service connection related to a goal that you created? So let's say like you set a goal of re-engaging
You know, maybe
a young person in education. So then the service connection would be
and then
you
I
know,
do think.
connecting them to their school and re-enrolling them in school.
And
So here you would say, yes, this is related to one of my goals. And it would ask you to select the goal that it relates to.
You know, this is. Good ready for. Before the design to the school where you did the 24.
And then connection outcome, were you able to successfully connect them to the service or not? Or is it pending? If you're not able to connect them to the service, it'll ask for, you know, what were some of the barriers to getting them connected?
Hopefully.
If you are successfully able to connect them to whatever service you're referring them to,
Cool.
it has some additional questions about what's their level of engagement or what's their status of engagement with that service. When did it start? When do you think that service might end? Will the service connection last beyond the duration of your time working with the young person? Let's say you re-enroll them in school and, you know, your case with them ends in March, but obviously school goes into May or June. You would say, yes, this service connection is going to last beyond the duration of the service plan. And then what's the status? Are they actively engaged in it?
Even if, for instance, like.
Did they, you know,
I'm sure.
for whatever reason, were they not able to successfully complete the service? Has it not yet started? Are they currently, you know, do they start, but are they on pause, or did they successfully complete it? So just like a place to let us know
Yeah,
what's the status of the engagement of the youth in that service.
so I'll see what happens.
All right, once all the information is added in, go ahead and click save and return. Just like with goals, we anticipate that you're going back into your service connections and updating them as things evolve. You know, you might do an initial connection, but not have all of the information to say, oh, the person is actively engaged in it, or once they actually complete the service connection or complete the program you're connecting them to, you can come back in here and update the status to say, okay, they've completed it. We always want, whether it's service connections or goals, we always want the status to be as up to date as possible.
But yeah, for sure, like
That's a really important piece for us to understand.
My
you know,
biggest concern.
Not just what are the goals and service connections you're making, but like, how's it going?
Yeah.
All right, I'll stop there.
I know.
Last piece that you can add in here are the restorative justice opportunities. It sounds like some sort of restorative justice opportunity is required based on the intervention pathways program model for each case. So this is the place where you would let us know what kinds of restorative justice opportunities are you providing for this young person. Click add. Is this a one-time opportunity or is this recurring? Perhaps this is like a weekly Peace Circles thing that your organization does, or if it's recurring, you'll just get this note to say, please come back in here and each date that this opportunity happens, just let us, add another restorative justice record here. So we're tracking every time that the young person engages in a restorative justice opportunity. Add in the date. What, we've listed out some larger types of restorative justice opportunities, but if it's something else, you could always have the other option.
Oh, no. Did they say whether they could make it?
And then just a brief description of what the restorative justice opportunity actually was.
Okay.
Just like with the others, click save and return at the top, and it takes you back to this service plan. So that's kind of all of the tracking to be done for a case. We're
13.
in this case record, we're in this service plan, mostly in the service plan area.
I'll let Jaden know that.
We're identifying what's the anticipated number of days for the case. We're identifying the priority domains that we're going to focus on. And then we're adding in an update, keeping up to date the goals, the service connections, and the restorative justice opportunities that are connected to this this case and this young person. There is not a limit to how many goals or how many service connections or how many restorative justice opportunities you enter in here. If you so there's no limit on how many you can add in. I feel like what I just shared was a lot, so perhaps now's a good time to pause and see what kind of questions there are.
Not fine. So I think this will be plenty of time.
Okay, BJ, there's a question.
Mhm.
Will officers across districts have referral emails for the other orgs? And if an officer in District 1 refers a youth who resides in District 16, will they be able to share that referral using Cityspan or just forward the email? So that will be forwarded via email. We don't have a way for agencies to sort of share information across Cityspan. Excuse me. So if if you get a referral for a youth and you're like, actually they don't live in my service area, they live in this other one, excuse me, you would just forward that referral to the other agency's email. So we'll share the referral email addresses for all of the agencies, so that you all have them. We're just not ready to share that yet, but you will get eventually.
Any other questions about some of this, like adding in the goals, how to navigate through Cityspan?
I would just add that all three, so a case will need those three things: the goals, restorative justice opportunities, and service connections. So we should be able to see all of those things in Cityspan. And like BJ said, there's not a limit to how many goals you can create, but you have to have at least three. Okay, there's another question. Once the case is opened, are we not tracking individual contacts made by the service coordinators? BJ, are we tracking that?
Yeah, we are. So I just clicked on cases here. We're in this case list. You can see some of these other kind of in this sample agency, some of these other cases that are currently open or closed. You've got the status of them here. Let me go back into the case that we've been working on, this client A. And I'll show you here in the case record, we still have this place to track contact attempts down here at the bottom. So, as you are reaching out, connecting with, or even just attempting to connect with the young person and their family, to work on these goals, to work on these service connections and restorative justice opportunities. Yeah, we do want you to keep tracking how, when you're reaching out and what's the kind of status or outcome of those attempts. Hopefully they're successful, but even if they're not, we still want to know. So it's in this case record area. And when we hadn't converted this into a case and it was still a referral, this tab up at the top was called referral record. And whether you're in the referral mode and you're in referral record up at the top, or you're in case mode and you're in case record up at the top, it's this page, referral record or case record, where you'll find these contact attempts and where you'll track them.
And just a reminder, you all should be meeting with your youth at least once a week. So whether that's like a FaceTime call or in person, whatever that looks like, it should be once a week, a successful contact.
All right. Yeah, so I mean, we walked through adding service coordinators. We walked through what happens when you first get a referral and you go into this client's area, you click add, and you begin to add in the information for the referral. Anything that is a referral, whether it's a closed, like it's an unsuccessful referral or an open referral, you'll see listed in this referrals tab on the left. Take a second. Yeah, there we go. And if it's an open referral and you're working on it, you can always click on either the person's name or the status, anywhere, any of these you can click on, and it'll open up that referral record for you to continue to update and kind of move along in your process. When you're finished with the referral, whether it's unsuccessful or it's successful, you're going to click close referral. If you've converted it into a case, it is a successful referral, then it'll show up here in this cases list. And you can continue from this cases list. You can click on any piece of data about any of these cases, and it'll open up all of those records about this particular case. So the person information, the case record, the service plan, the assessments. And just like referrals, there's a case closeout kind of procedure that allows for unsuccessful cases. Perhaps you were having successful contact with the young person, you got their YASI scores done, have their parental consent, you converted a referral record into a case. But somehow during the case process and the case planning and execution of all of those goals and service connections, something happens and the young person stops participating, or they no longer give consent to be in the program. You can close out the case unsuccessfully, just like you can close out the referral record unsuccessfully. But whether it's whether you successfully complete the case or they successfully complete their case or not, there is a case closeout procedure to kind of finalize everything. And so when you're ready to do that for a case, you're in this case record and you just say close case, click on this button up here. And it'll ask you for the date that the case was closed. Does the young person have a transition plan in place? It sounds like that was a requirement for all for all of the intervention program model kind of guidelines. There should be some sort of transition in place. There's also a participant survey at the end that will be distributed. DFSS is working on creating that, and it sounds like we're going to distribute that out to all of your agencies, and that you all will be giving the participants. It's a really brief survey But did they complete that survey? Yes or no? Hopefully it's a yes. And then I can go ahead and click next step. You can see this case closeout process is a 4-step kind of guide. The first one we just did. Now this is just a prompt to remind us, okay, here's all the service connections that you put in so far. And, here's what the outcome is. It's just a reminder to make sure that all of your service connections, the information in them is as up to date as possible. And once you've had a chance to do that, go ahead and click next step. It's going to ask you to do the same thing for any goals that you created. And specifically, it's really going to target any goals that are still labeled as pending or in progress. So any goals that you've set are pending or in progress are going to show up here at the end of case closure, and it's going to prompt you to update that status of the goal. And then the last piece is just, did the participant complete the program? Yes or no? Based on kind of all the requirements and all the criteria. Did they actually complete it? So whether or not you click yes or no, if you click no, I think we ask you what were the barriers, but then you select those and then you can close the case, or if you click yes, case is closed.
That's how it would be like.
So that is the Cityspan environment. It's a lot, and I know that, I get that. There's a lot of places to navigate. There's a lot of, you've got your left menu bars and you've got the tabs up at the top. The tabs look different whether you're in a referral or a case. So the program itself is got a lot of moving parts and a lot of requirements, and so not surprisingly, the database itself also has a lot of moving parts and a lot of requirements. Any other questions before we wrap up today?
Will the client survey be in Cityspan?
It will not be in Cityspan. I think that's something that is
Oh, yeah, fair.
yeah, I don't from my knowledge, it will not be in Cityspan.
Yeah, and we're still developing that survey. So we'll give you more information on what that will look like as it's finalized.
Yes.
Okay, and it is 11:03. So if you guys need to transition to your next, whatever comes next, that's fine, but I'm willing to stay on for a few more minutes if anyone has any questions. But if not, you guys are free to go. Thank you all for being here.
Great. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, another question. Do we have the capability to print the information that's uploaded into Cityspan for the client file? BJ, you can print from Cityspan, right?
That's a good question. I guess there's not. There's not like a print button per se anywhere, but if I were to I'm just on the web page. If I were to right click on the mouse,
It was there before.
I do have this
Whatever
print
said
option
back, but
here.
I think maybe that's
And
like we need to make it older or like.
So I guess you could print. This
Yeah, like it's
does-
not a specific Cityspan function, but you could.
Either way, it's pretty, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Any more questions? Concerns? Victoria, go for it. I see your hand
Okay,
is
thanks.
raised.
Thank you. Just to clarify in regards to like parental consent, so like that is a reason to close the case before it is traditionally completed. However, it's also a reason to close the referral. So before the case even starts, you can be like, hey, we chatted with the parents and it's a no. So we're tracking those in Cityspan as well, not just for like ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. So if you just like you said, so if you're talking to the parent and they're like, actually, I don't think my youth would benefit from these services. I don't want them to participate. Then you would close the referral and it would be considered an unsuccessful referral. And then I believe there's an option to say like guardian opted out of services.
Yeah, can
Mhm,
you, is
yeah.
my mic on? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Mhm.
Okay, so for instance, like I'm in this referrals environment and I see all of, I see all the referrals, but I can also see which ones are open. So like if I were to pick this one, Paul Washington, and I'm gonna go to, I'm at this referral record up at the top. It has this question, is parent legal guardian consent on file? You can say no here. And to Alex's point, you would, you don't have, maybe you don't have any of this information. Certainly you might not have all of this personal information about the young person.
Right.
But you can still close the referral anyways. And if I were to say unsuccessful referral, one of those options is that the guardian chose to end participation or youth chose to end participation. Or that they were unresponsive, or if you want it, you
Yeah.
could say other and say consent not given or consent denied, something like that. And then just unsuccessful referral. That is definitely a way to close out that referral without moving it into like a full-blown case.
So like they'll already.
But
you.
we'll still be, and then but we still want to be like making sure that we're tracking all of that. So even if it is like unsuccessful,
I mean, I
we
feel
don't
like
provide
honestly,
services to
if
youth,
there's
we still want to
anything
have that data
push
that like
section,
we did receive that
one
referral.
file, that actually fell in the previous hour, instead of that, what we test to look at today. So,
And that we've done our due diligence to like try to engage the young person and the family in the program.
Dan, I feel like starting.
Yeah,
broader
exactly. That way we can look at and say,
information
oh, well,
would
this referral
fit
is
better in
closed,
that
but
section
there
where
were
it's,
14 contact attempts or something.
As far as the organization's team code, so I think in Army, we're top through the basics and stuff. Let's look at our one.
Okay, cool. Well, it seems like there's no more questions. So I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
we'll go ahead and end here. I'll stop our recording. And then if you all have any more questions or concerns,